One RNG on the blue side, EDG over on the red for our first game here. And EDG don't really need the points, but they'll take them, I think. They're a team that seems to love not to just win, you know, big tournaments like playoffs, but finish first and really show strength all throughout the regular season.
And since EDG's creation in 2014, they have been dominant in everything that they enter, winning majority of third-party tournaments as well as placing at least highly in the LPL regular season and then taking the playoffs.
Yep, they've done very well historically as a team, despite all the changes for 2015. We'll see what happens now. Rumble, Maokai actually there, bans from RNG. Nara as well. Koro getting hit over the head here with a pretty obvious nerf bat, and that's a Shen pick away. Callista, Echo, and Rise of the bans for EDG. Barely get a chance to talk about it because Koro has gotten effectively 4 bans thrown at him.
Wow. Yeah, you are absolutely correct. No surprise to see Shin taken as the priority pick. Again, we're 5.13. Shin got a bit of a buff on, I believe, 5.12. Changes to his passive as well as to his taunt. And he has become all the rage in LPL.
Yeah, I mean, he's always good at split pushing, but his team fighting and tanking just gets a bit better. And all of a sudden, he's back. It's like he never left.
I'm glad to see him back. We did see Koro kind of hover the Aurelius. I'm curious kind of what direction he's going to go there. Obviously, with all of his primary tanks taken off the board, it should open up Koro to go into more of a carry-oriented role, which can be fulfilled by Shyvana.
Yeah, Koro, I feel like, has played some Hecarim, but not that much, and Hecarim's not been that popular recently, so we'll see. But certainly, this happened to Koro, I think, at MSI, where they're like, yeah, we're going to take a bunch of champions. It's like, ah, don't worry, guys, I still got Aurelia. This time, though, it will be Shyvana, and that's actually Corky for Deft.
Oh, I'm so excited. So, we had a patch meeting with the other color casters, of course, Spawn, Rusty, and I, and we were talking about, you know, what kind of champions that we think will come back into the meta for 5.13, and I was adamant that Shyvana was going to make a comeback, especially with kind of a Devour enchantment. We haven't seen the Devour enchantment yet. I believe that the Shyvana top earlier that we had in the day was Cinderhulk. Yep. But curious what he's going to build. Yeah, and there's Jana and Jace for RNG, so strong picks there as well. Like to see Xiaohu on the Jace in the mid lane once again, but I'm surprised Shyvana ever left, to be honest. Flandre was kind of doing it, Flame was doing it, and then for some reason, all the Shyvana players just stopped in the top lane. Yeah, I think it was just kind of that she's always been good, but she was never the best at what the meta and the shift really needed in terms of hard engage. When you think like Hecarim and Sivir really took off, that again, like Shyvana can do that. She can hard engage, you know, dragon swoop down on you, but it's not going to be the same as an onslaught or shadow hitting you at 200 miles an hour. No, not yet. As actually Pawn going to lock in Twisted Fate for himself. Has seen the Jason, decided, yep, going to take TF here as we look at Tom Kench, but Dev's going to select Braum there for Mako. And remember that there is no grace period in LPL. Yep. Tom Kench is live. They can lock him in at any time that they want, but glad to see that Mako took the Braum. I believe he's enabled around the world as well, but haven't seen him just yet, I don't think. Hasn't popped up his fishy little head. We'll see. Could be. If it was going to be anywhere, be somewhere like the LPL. They love to play the new champions and just go crazy. And 513 is an exciting patch. We saw M3 play earlier today. Looking like, again, some of those changes might have favored the team quite a bit more. So we'll see what EDG do. Do they stick to what they know? They seem to be doing that right now. And RNG especially, they're the one that really need the points. Can they find something new, mix it up, and really take advantage of the current patch? Well, this looks like it would be something new if Wushin decided, nope, never mind. Don't even. Why do you even set yourself up? You know he's going to pick Vayne. I knew, and I saw it too. I was like, I'm surprised he's not picking Vayne because MLXG is clearly going to go Nidalee since he just adores that champion, and Nidalee's steroid would mean so much more for Vayne than it would for Graves. So thank goodness Wushin decided to make the correct call. Wush agrees with you. And lock in the Vayne. And that is going to be Vayne Nidalee, the picks there for RNG. Not too bad against the Corky either, but Clearlove's going to go back to Evelyn. It is business time for EDG. Yep, that is his legacy pick, as I'm trying to coin it, as opposed to the signature pick, the Clearlove Evelyn. Likewise, Pawn on the Twisted Fate. What's the Clearlove signature pick then? Nunu. Nunu? Of course it is. Think about the Clearlove special. The flash in front to slow everyone down with the absolute zero. I don't know if Clearlove would be very happy that that's the Clearlove special. Well, then maybe he shouldn't flash Golem walls. Well, I guess not. Yeah, I saw that IG game. Let's talk about EDG's comp right now. This is a poke siege composition. They do have some pick potential because naturally that's what you're going to have with Evelyn Twisted Fate. You can have two people that can virtually appear anywhere, that semi-global presence with the paranoia of the stealth as well as the reach of the destiny. But primarily it's the siege with Twisted Fate if he chooses to itemize into the Lich Bane, likewise Corky with the poke. But even more importantly, Shyvana if she gets going on the split push, which is kind of curious because that's not typically how Koro plays. He plays more of a flanking style. Yep. So we'll see if he maybe goes more Amazing J or if he turns Shyvana into a 5v5 monster.
We'll have to find here. MLXG on Italy, that's clearly on the Evelyn. We saw top side, of course, Shen vs Shyvana. Pretty curious tank matchup there as well. And Xiaohu here on the Jace, I think can actually bring it to Pawn here on Twisted Fate, but Pawn, he hates laning on Twisted Fate, it feels like, because he never stays in his lane.
You know who's a really good Jace player, though? Pawn.
Yeah.
So if you're really going to pick Jace into someone, like Xiaohu's Jace is fantastic, but let's not forget that that's one of Pawn's, again, speaking of signature champions.
See, this is the thing. Pawn has too many signature champions.
He's got 22 unique champions.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's certainly a lot here. And I mean, this look good. I like the comp here. I think Pawn actually has teleport as well, so we're in for some juicy map movement, potentially. You know, let's find out what happens. We are going to get onto the roof for game number 1. And welcome back onto the Rift here for game 1 between RNG and EDG. We're going to see the teams move up. Pawn, no, he tricked me. Switch back to Ghost. Doesn't have the teleport. He did have it for a brief moment, but a pretty classic comp for both these sides. RNG seem to be playing to the meta, and EDG just playing to EDG.
Yeah, it's pretty much, again, still more poke siege from EDG versus a big 5v5. Not that the comp doesn't have 5v5 potential, but on the other side, it's the Wushin show.
Yep. Back on Vayne for the 15th game in a row.
Yeah, it's all about empowering that guy. You have the acceleration gate, you have the primal surge. Lei obviously synergies great with Vayne. I talk about Janna Vayne synergy all the time. I'm sure I'll talk about it again.
And of course, Let Me. There with an extra shield, can stand united on top of Whoosh.
Forget that guy.
Forget that guy. Well, Pawn, they're going to put some wards down. Might be looking to scope out the potential lane swap that RNG want. Can't imagine they really want Corki versus Vayne as a 2v2, especially against a player like Deft. But you never really know here when it comes to RNG and Whoosh. He's going to play Vayne into just about anything. In fact, I feel like he's more confident in a 2v2 on this champion.
And likewise, this is why we see Koro take W on Shyvana versus the E, knowing that there could be the possibility of a lane swap, so she will have to start the jungle, and obviously the burnout is going to do you far more good in farming those jungle creeps with AoE versus the, I don't know what her E's called. I'm going to call it the fireball. What do they say in Street Fighter?
Yeah. Oh, what do they say? Hadouken?
Yes.
That's what
Thank you. I didn't want to say it wrong. Then people would be like, what?
Well, RNG now going to check the red buff over on EDG's side of the jungle, but Clearlove, he's already snuck away to do the same. So we're going to start with the vertical jungle, and the AD carries have lane swap.
The big thing is you see that Wushin on the very top lane. He's walking into the creep wave, and Spawn actually did a great job characterizing this last game with King, with Zero doing. He's walking into the creeps and he's grabbing all of the creep aggro to make sure that they target him. He'll then walk into the brush to drop it. They'll translate that onto the wave, and it just forces the enemy wave to push against you.
Yep, and that's the classic start to a freeze here in the top center. Xiaohu gonna get aggressed on Mako's level 1 Braum, always to be expected in your lane. Xiaohu, it's a little bit of poke there for his trouble.
We call them the Chinese mafia, Clearlove and Mako. They just show up out of the bushwork. You think you're 1v1 against Pawn? No, you were 1v3.
It's pretty appropriate as Koro almost dying to the Gromp. Has to be careful! Oh, he finished it. Very barely finished the camp.
And he's like, I got blue buff, guys.
No worries. Aggro's it. Now going to start things up in Mako's round as well. Koro doing a lot of jungling early on.
Yep, got his level 2. Already has 5 CS to Let Me's 0.
It's the power of Smite, level 1.
And this is kind of why, you know, Smite was always seen as kind of the ultimate summoner spell if you could get away with not taking an escape like Flash to pick that up, because obviously the Ignite's going to give you stronger 1v1 potential, but a lot of these cases you're not going to get the 1v1 just because there's so much standing gold in a lane swap by prioritizing structures.
And a lot of this swapping to me really does favor a team like EDG, who have become masters of this sort of map movement in an early game here. I mean, it's not as aggressive maybe as some of the classic Chinese teams. Even King recently have been very aggressive and very smart at level 1. But I feel like no one moves around the map quite as cleanly as EDG does in the LPL.
I think LGD is probably the only
Yep.
competition. But it also really makes sense against a team like RNG. You know, if we call them the solo queue heroes effectively, and you don't give them that, you know, easy standard laning phase of the 2v2 or the 1v1 matchup, they're going to fall behind to a more macro-oriented team. Yeah,
and here it comes again. Clearlove going to start the Dragon up. Corey here as well. One Smite available. Clearlove's about 20 seconds off, maybe 15, but should have it here for the Dragon, and this will be an easy secure as Pawn does see the Goon Squad coming. Draws his gold card, no Xiao who's in there. Gonna stun him up though, just poke around, and that gank went missing quickly.
MLXG loves Nidalee, but I feel like Nidalee does not love MLXG. It's the nicest way to put that. There was almost a point where you would hope that if you were an RNG or a King fan, that Nidalee would get banned against them just so MLXG couldn't play it.
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly picked it up, but maybe not had as much success as I think we were trying to say there, as Dragon did go to EDG. Corey going to continue jungling here. He's got 5 CS still, so he's helping Clear Love around his jungle. He might look to return to the top side, but Whoosh has done a great job of holding that wave, and Deft the same here in the bottom lane as well. And
if you think about kind of what these two teams are trading in terms of the lane swap, effectively RNG are saying, you know, this composition, it's all about Whoosh in late game. We have tons of things to augment him. We have a good mid-game bridge power spike in the form of Jace to allow Vayne to kind of hit that mid-game power trough and then pick it back up in late game. They're totally fine trading a Dragon as well as early tower advantage for this freeze on Vayne. This is how they like to play, and they're very experienced in it.
Yeah, and Deft isn't fast pushing either, so both teams playing it fairly slow in the first 5 minutes of the game. The early roam didn't hit either in the mid lane, so some of the early movements here from EDG have looked very clean, but not the same success they've gotten with a lot of Mako's recent aggression on Braum.
Yeah, a lot of it is a bit more farm-oriented right now, just because Mako didn't make that almost said gonk. Gank. Gonk. Gank connected in the mid lane.
Too long.
We might.
Oh.
I'm working on it.
That one's now on the internet forever.
I
hope you know that. It's Koro going to W his way to safety there with a bit of extra move speed. Going to follow Clear Love back into his jungle as we've got top laners really glued to their junglers this particular game. Even Let Me, who does not have a smite, has been by MLXG's side holding his hand as they walk through the jungle with a spear. Going a little bit wide there from Koro. Trying to make something happen here in the top side jungle.
Oh, actually able to bully them out.
Yeah. Koro going to get chunked out. Lei's going to walk down as well. Remember, this is RNG's strong side of the map here, the top or left side of the jungle. So they're able to make sure that they can keep the camps on that side away from EDG. Koro going to lose that. Clear Love will as well.
Yep, and you're absolutely right. The fact that Lei was able to pull over onto the Raptor camp to make sure that they did have the numbers disadvantage. A little bit scary, though, because Pawn does have complete control of the mid lane right now. Doesn't have a ton of mana available to him, but with the Destiny, he could be able to react. But EDG, you know, it's fine. We're cool to just kind of farm up. You can have the Raptor camp.
Yeah, play it safe. Raptors go over to RNG, though, as Pawn continues to chunk out these waves here. First had an early back already for these mid laners. Double Doran's there for Pawn. Nice and aggressive early on. Whereas Xiao, who's gone up towards that mana unit with a tier and a longsword. So things pretty standard here for these mid laners. But Pawn goes back, boots of Lucidity. So he has one thing on his mind only.
I want to ult, and I want to ult a lot.
Yeah, and this is, I feel like we see Pawn do this a lot with his double Doran's build as well.
Yeah, but the issue is to me, this telegraphs that they're going to look for MLXG in particular to put him down, just because there's not a lot of gank opportunity because of the lane swap. It's not like Pawn can teleport top lane and try to find a kill there. Again, Lucian has done a fantastic job keeping the wave close to him and freezing that. On the other side, they're not applying pressure to the bottom side. Oh, actually. Okay, they're going to go for the top side because they're swapping Mako and Deft back up there.
Yep, and RNG still have 4 people up towards the top. Clear Love and Mako actually will be here in time, like you mentioned, but could be enough to protect their red buff. Is going to be actually, I guess, the Destiny scaring them off. That was very scared from RNG.
Yeah, really respecting Pawn. I was really curious if good job for Mako to make sure that the spear can't catch him on the back half. I was curious if Lucian, he forced the wave into the tower and he backed, if he was going to try to continue to dodge Deft in the 2v2. It was very clear that EDG were swapping back up because Mako did appear on that that red buff, but nope. Going to head up there, so we will finally have our 2v2, which opens up a lot more options for Pawn to look for picks.
Yep, Buildwater Cutlass and a dagger there for Whoosh. They're building in towards that Blade of the Ruin King, and a Sheen there for Deft. Going to be accompanied by a Fade relatively soon there with a longsword already in that inventory. And you can see right now, just keeping him out of the way, but these are two, obviously, relatively low impact supports early on in the laning phase, Braum and Janna.
Yeah, I mean, Janna's whole purpose in lane phase is just to be an anti-snowball, if that makes sense, just to make sure that things can't spiral out of control, and Braum loses a ton of effectiveness, just he's going to throw Qs and that's about it, but his roam is crazy, which is what we see Mako primarily doing.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that from the early stages of this game, but settling back into the 2v2, going to turn off some of that power early on. Xiaohu, though, going to get himself a blue buff donated over by MLXG, and Whoosh finally going to get himself pushed into a turret. Mako nails him with a Q there as well.
It's actually really funny. I don't get to talk about this a lot, but there are definitely color-oriented picks. Janna on purple side is typically has a higher win rate than Janna on blue side, unless you're in a lane swap. And the reason this happens is if you look at how funneled this corridor is as the screen is on it, Janna's Monsoon and Tornado cover a lot more surface area and a lot more angles into a gank to gank this tower. It's likewise the same thing if Janna was on purple side on the opposite side of the map, so it's kind of fun. I never get to talk about that, but it's really hard to gank a Janna in this narrow corridor.
Yeah, the lanes are... The geography is not that different across the Rift, but you're right. Certainly on either side we'll have slight differences. And Lei does get a nice little advantage there as Whoosh happily farming away, slightly behind Def, but nothing too massive as EDG might just be looking to Dragon number 2 as their next big point of contention. 35 seconds till that one's available. And
they're definitely keeping up on CS. In fact, they do have an advantage in between the top laners. Although here comes the Destiny.
Now we go looking for a gank. It's bottom side Pawn. Going to look for the stun cut. Finds it on to Let Me. Koro going to dive in there as well. They're going to dive under the tower for first blood. Agony's embraced this pop. MLXG here a little late. Does get Koro on the backside. But first blood goes to Evelyn and second blood goes to Pawn.
Oh,
trade.
It will be a 2v2. Hold on. Xiaohu's on the way.
Going to be looking for Pawn now. Does land the Q. MLXG's already dead, but gold card is there. Xiaohu gets there just in time to eat the stun. Couldn't quite wait out the card duration. And in fact, Pawn might fancy it again. Going to go for a red card, needs a bit more damage. Has to go in, flashes for the last auto. No, Stange United just at the last second keeps them safe. And the wildcards do not connect.
But forces the ultimate defensively out of Let Me to make sure that Pawn can't look for a triple kill out there. Excuse me, only picked up one and got the assist. But this is what we were talking about. With these lanes swapping back, it opens up Pawn to look for those Destiny plays.
And it was a nice gank there for EDG to get themselves first blood, but a rare misstep in a tower dive. Not something we usually associate EDG with.
And it was really just MLXG showing up on the back half of that and connecting with a beautiful spear when it counted. But hold on, in the top lane.
More spears here for MLXG. Finds one onto Def. Mako trying to protect him. Good ult there to peel. Def needs to run himself out. The stun almost there with the exhaust down onto Def from Lei. Now they'll tumble forward. Def looking to get away from these silver bolts, and Whoosh chasing aggressively but does not complete the last few autos.
And it was great disengage from Mako right there to make sure that he tagged Vayne with the Q, applying that slow and making sure she couldn't continue to chase.
Yeah, would have eaten too many autos and gotten stunned as Clearlove still farming away here on the bottom half of the jungle. Seems to be his happy place, but MLXG talked himself back up to the top half. Has to be careful. Deft does do relatively substantial damage with his Sheen, and Pawn Destiny not quite there yet. He is ready to gank.
Oh, he's got it.
Yeah, now going to go in onto Whoosh. Can't go invisible this time. Stun will land. Def wants it. Cards do land. Def cleans up the kill. Pawn actually, I think, flashed to try and get something else done, but they do get the kill onto Vayne.
Back to Destiny. As soon as it was off of cooldown, we talked about, Pawn having the double Dorans, the Lucidity builds. What does that say? He wants to ult a lot. And then immediately, all of the resources expended top lane, having the double smite on the bottom side of the map in the Dragon control means another free objective for EDG.
That makes sense why Clearlove's playing to that side of the map here. So it does take away the Dragon with the help of Koro there on the Shyvana. And they're just farming up here right now. Evelyn and Shyvana only getting tankier. 2 dragons up now for EDG, as well as 1,000 gold. Deft on the way to his Trinity Forces. Azil, and then the recipe away from finishing that. And Pawn is rushing Azonias here in this game.
And again, just to emphasize and empower the idea that I'm here to team fight. I'm not going for the Lich Bane first to make sure that I get the Sheen procs on the towers to split push. I'm here to engage with the Hourglass.
Yep, wants to fight. And you have to think as soon as Destiny's back up, Xiaohu starting to have some problems here in this lane, has not been able to push Pawn in as aggressively as he would like. And the Zonies is completed now for Pawn. So he's probably going to look to fight. It's just a matter of where.
At this point, RNG need to slow down the pace of the game and just offer more room for Wushin to continue to farm up. We are in a bit of a danger just because the initial dragon was taken very early by EDG, so they have that 5-dragon win condition available to them. But that said, probably the next dragon, RNG will be in a good position to fight for it just because Jace will hit his power spike.
MLXG on the top side actually. Deft eats a spear after a taunt. The pounce will follow, but Mako's not here now. The teleport's going to come in. Mako going to come in. Flash ultis. Sorry, stand behind me. Ulti is Kara going to dive in now as well. And they'll just go straight under the tower. Let Me will die. Clearlove will get that kill and they'll take the safe kill.
And immediately are able to play to the top side of the map with no fear. Now, RNG do trade a tower onto the bot side with so many resources of EDG top, but Dragon's not there. There's no big objective. They immediately translate all offensive aggression to that top side.
Pawn and Pop Ghost there as well, so looking to run up to that lane. Xiaohu gonna all-in him, cleanses off the slow Pawn, forced to Zhonya's, but I don't know if he's got anywhere left to run. Will get chased down as Jace gets the kill.
A little bit overzealous. You knew that MLXG was going to be in that river since he had just appeared into the top side. So great rotation from RNG. They're going to pick up 2 towers for 1.
Really nice. They'll open up the mid tower as Koro does get the tower in the top lane, but the Runeglaive Nidalee is starting to open up now as getting that first bit of early power. Xiaohu as well, only getting stronger, gets a blue buff for his trouble as well.
And this is really important. You know, Xiaohu, MLXG, the shot caller, the captain of RNG, we said that he's the guy to watch. Now, he'll always prioritize ganks over objective control. So this is the snowball and the playstyle that RNG are used to playing.
Yep, and he's, you know, managed to do both, frankly, in this game, which is just a nice nod to his ability to gank and counter gank well in this game. He's really been tracking Clearlove nicely due to some well-placed wards there. And just smart play overall from MLXG. It's a change, I guess, in some ways, because he's normally the super aggro jungler, but he's been just aggressive enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's done a great job on his counter ganking. Of course, Nidalee's mobility is really going to empower that. It's very hard to be punishing on her. Especially
in this series. He's got a lot of lanes to watch out for, so makes sense as Xiaohu got himself quite a bit stronger actually after that kill. He only got 1, but 140 CS or so, and that's a Manamune, a Brutalizer, and a Pickaxe building in towards that last Whisper. And even Woosh is feeling a bit better now. Blade of the Ruined King completed up as well.
And that's the big power spec that we're looking for on Jace. Again, I called Xiaohu his Jace kind of a mid-bridge style of champion, so when we hit that mid-game, he's going to find his big power spec to compensate for the fact that Wushin's going to go for a bit of a deficit until late game.
Yeah.
So it's about just making sure that Wushin can take control of that baton and then pass it off to Wushin late game. But they got to get there.
Yeah, they do. And EDG, you have to think you're only going to get more aggressive. Koro's still farming, but he's got his Skirmisher Saber and the Cinderhawk, so no Devourer, unfortunately not today for Oscarine. But
I want it so badly.
Nice and tanky there in the top side. Runeglaive there for Clearlove, completed with a Giant Spell, so going tanky along with that Sightstone. And Distortion Boots for Pawn with a Trinity Force for Deft means that Pawn and Deft are ready to fight.
I want to talk about the Cinderhulk on Shyvana because it does make perfect sense. So the nice thing about Shyvana is that as opposed to Renekton, because you have to think, when Shyvana and Renekton were the 2 big champions, they were very similar, but they were almost kind of opposites. When Renekton presses R, and when he levels up, the main thing that he's going to be scaling off of is health. Shyvana scales off of resistances. She becomes one of the most tanky champions in the game, just off of natural base stats when she's in her dragon form. So the Cinderhulk means so much more for her, as opposed to a champion like Renekton, because it gives health, and it's more cost-effective to build health than it is to buy resistances.
And like you said, going to get some of that free stuff off the ultimate passive part, so smart stuff there for Koro. Again, surprised to not see as much Shyvana in the last few weeks, but nice to see her at least today. It's twice now, I believe, we've seen Shyvana with the Smite and Cinderhawk in the top lane. Looper having a great game on it earlier today as well.
I just love Shyvana.
I know you do.
I know.
Well, Shyvana's back, maybe. We'll have to see. Right now, Dragon up at a minute 5.
I wish for the flame Shyvana. It'll come.
He played it once, I think.
Not in LPL.
I think it was in LPL.
I'll have to double check.
Pretty sure. There was this moment where it's like, finally! Flame gets to play Shyvana, and then it was just like, oh.
Finally, he's not a Rumble. Good Rumble player.
Yeah, good player in general. Flame's gotten a lot better once he LGD today, unfortunately. Checking later in the weekend with them, but Woosh and Lei trying to clear out a tower in the top lane. They'll actually be the first ones to take the 3 outer turrets.
Frankly, just misstep from EDG right now. Koro knew that Vayne and Janna were pushing forward. Obviously, he didn't have the backup since Corki and Mako, or Deft and Mako, had committed to the bottom side. So just lose a free objective.
Yeah, not good as EDG.
That's my not good voice.
Probably needs to knock down the mid lane turret and open up a bit more space for Pawn, who's now got a Sheen. So going for that Lich Bane second. Pretty aggressive build in general for Twisted Fate, but I feel like we've had 2 major items completed for the mid laner and AD carry in the last few minutes, and EDG have not been proactive with them.
That said, they've been mostly proactive about setting up for this dragon, and so far they have 100% completion, and make no mistake, they're setting up for it right now. And like you said, with those 2 items, or those big core items completed on both their mid lane and AD carry, it's very difficult for RNG to approach this.
They can still fight just well around objectives, as they can around turrets and skirmishes. So Dragon number 3 will go over to EDG. MLXG not even in the area to chuck a spear at it and try and steal. And Koro on the top side had his teleport ready to join them. RNG, they're kind of getting through the point where they need to invade, although Lei very nearly dies from just a couple shots from death.
And again, I actually find this is a bit of an evolution from EDG. So if you think back to their slumping period against Unlimited Potential, WE, their king sets, things like that, EDG were really suffering specifically on their dragon control. It's only in the last kind of 2 weeks where it almost seems like Aaron's saying, all about dragon control.
Yep.
Get every single dragon. And it's really starting to reflect on how they're playing around the map early.
Yeah, I agree. They've just been so much better about getting those early dragons, you know, giving one up when it's appropriate, but not losing sight of the first 3 dragons and hoping the 25-minute Baron sort of pulls you over the top of that disadvantage. And right now, RNG, who are still looking to get their Vayne to a nice point, Jace has gotten to his point more or less. This needs a transformation and still have a tank in their jungle of scaling up. They're only, what, 1,500 gold behind or so, but EDG have complete control of strong objectives on the map.
Likewise, EDG also have the itemization advantage right now in terms of power spike. So yes, Xiaohu is very strong, but the rest of RNG really still need time to ramp up.
We'll see if they can get there. Xiaohu now going to inhabit the bottom lane here and challenge Pawn, who's been farming down in the bottom side of the map. Tower in the mid still up there for RNG, so have a bit more space around the center of the map to work around. But right now, everyone's still getting stronger. Yeah, really nice vision. For both sides, actually.
Yeah. RNG is, though, much more defensive, but makes sense.
It's side-based.
Yeah.
So the bottom half is super defensive and the top half's a bit more aggressive, which makes sense given that this game has basically been played in 2 different vertical halves.
No, I completely agree. Right now, we do have both teams kind of focusing around the mid lane. Of course, EDG are going to play there. Again, the dragon objective is down. So what's the most important and most accessible objective on the map? It's going to be that first tier mid tower.
Yep, take the outer turret here, open up space, and Pawn can join you in the bottom lane. He's applying pressure there as well. Koro actually sticking to the top as well. I mean, it's not quite full-on split push, but EDG at least sitting in that formation for the next few minutes.
And this is the question I had, you know, what kind of position or role is Koro going to fill on the Shyvana? Is he going to be more of an Amazing J side split push carry, or will he continue to use his teleport more of a flanking maneuver for 5v5s? Now, the composition that has clearly left smites away the Raptor camp.
Nice deal. The
composition that EDG have set up does have a lot of pick and side wave control, but, you know, Pawn already showed his hand that we're looking for more pick 5v5 with the Hourglass rush versus the Lich Bane. Although with that Sheen, he does have some great side wave control. Yep,
and right now Woosh just gatekeeping the mid turret along with Lei. He's let me actually going to get dove by Koro. That is not a small amount of damage that Shen just took, despite the Spirit Visage that Shen has already.
It was a small amount of damage that Koro took, however, taking 3 tower shots.
Yep, but the Randu and Zoman almost completed there, and the Cinder Hulk plus the Doran Shield making them nice and tanky. So Towers and Shen struggling right now in that top lane. We'll see if Koro continues to apply pressure on that part of the map.
RNG, again, doing their best to try to slow it down, just take the available waves and to continue to farm up. Xiaohu can never be underestimated on his Jace. Typically, this champion is banned against him.
But not today. And still just about a Muramana transformation away from being super strong at the about 20-ish, 23, 25-minute mark as MLXG jumps on the Scotter Crab, takes it away. And again, just buying time, has those honors of his own. Actually didn't go for any super death cap or even for that early tier. He's actually gone straight for a utility AP item.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious that he didn't decide to itemize more damage, although when he plays Echo, he likes to play Echo more tanky. One of the big proponents of the Echo jungle in LPL, which I believe has like a 76% win rate from the jungle position.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. Was he banned in this series?
Yes.
That makes sense.
That's
I was
why he's on
I
Italy.
was going to say, I was like, we surely would have seen Echo if it wasn't banned, but it was indeed banned as MLXG gets the chair. Just shakes it up. Activates Primal Surge there for a bit of extra health. And RNG, they are fully committed to protecting this mid lane turret. But EDG, they just don't care. They're getting further and further ahead. They're still about 1,500 gold up, but Dragon number 4 is going to be up in a minute 35.
Yeah, it's all about this dragon, and they do have a composition that, you know, really excels on controlling that type of objective. As Xiaohu does have his Last Whisper completed for him now, as well as the CDR boots, RNG can place themselves into Ooh, hold on, though.
Yeah, Cluelove looking for a flank. Xiaohu takes a lot of damage. Maker going to start things up.
The double flank.
Yeah, but here comes the flank again. Paul going to jump in onto Lei, but the wildcards will move through them. Xiaohu's still alive as Koro going to make it a triple flank now as Whoosh will get the one dived on, but MLXG assassinates Deft in the backline. Over in the bottom of the fight, Pawn's going to get taunted, and Xiaohu will destroy him. Koro finally leaps into Dragon form. But just trying to fight these two, and Xiaohu still does good damage. Last Whisper there as well. The taunt's going to seal his fate, you have to think, although he's still chasing away. Koro may live here, but EDG just lost 3 for 2.
I think Koro's in trouble. Yep.
Oh, flash taunt there. Xiaohu cleans it up. And that's going to arrest control back of that Dragon as well.
A big issue was how EDG decided to try to flank like that. So we talk about, you know, Deft is a great AD carry, possibly one of the best in the world right now, but he has an incredible front line in front of him in the form of Clearlove and Koro. That fight, not quite. MLXG was able to just immediately bounce back on top of Corki and just delete him instantly.
Yeah, and Deft kind of being a lot of that damage. Pawn could not get in to influence the fight either, and EDG pretty convincingly lose that fight, although made it close with a couple kill trades here and there. Will reset as a result around this Dragon. Not enough time for RNG to stop EDG from getting it. And with 8 seconds left for this one, everybody back alive. Koro actually just barely going to be alive in time. We'll see this again.
Okay, so the big thing is we're going to have a triple flank. So Pawn and Clearlove come in first. Clearlove does land a nice ultimate, but then will immediately blow up, obviously, this Evelynn, not as tanky as his normal Nunu. Koro finally gets involved, but look, all 3 of the front line of EDG have moved away from Deft, and MLXG just assassinates that very easily in the back half.
Well played fight there from RNG, but EDG do get away with that 4th Dragon, as you can see in the picture-in-picture. So Dragon number 4 available at EDG as Pawn barely gets his blue buff there from an MLXG spear.
That's going to be a 30-minute 5th Dragon win condition.
Ooh, Mako a little too far forward, gets killed by Whoosh. That was a silly mistake. Ooh, good damage though. Koro looking to dive, maybe Clearlove as well, pops the ulti. Pawn now going to come in there as well. Xiaohu's the target, they take him out. Oh, he lives for so long, but Whoosh gets stunned up by Pawn.
Oh.
Really good target selection as Pawn gets picked up by MLXG. But Let Me now going to be chased down. 1 tornado lands there onto Koro. Clearlove can't really chase a 2 for 2 trade, sorry, from RNG.
You talked about how MLXG, you know, he loves Nidalee, but Nidalee doesn't necessarily always love him. Complete reverse this game. He is nailing the spears when they count.
Yeah, 5, 1, and 2 on this Nidalee. Getting stronger and stronger, and it's a bit tankier, not full AP. He's going to find Koro now in the jungle. Don't know if he fancies this fight. Randy wins pop. No, not available, so can't pop it. But very tanky as a Shyvana. No magic resist just yet, but doesn't really need it against the Nidalee, just with a big health pool.
I always love it when you can tell instant regret on a player's face.
Like,
it was like mid-pounce. He's like, maybe not.
You can see the player cams, and like she's just like, I'm instead going to get blue buff for himself. Might have enough time to donate it to Xiaohu. He might not have an option with Koro in the area. Trying to save it by the looks of things. Xiaohu is going to be here.
He's trying to keep it in the brush to make sure that Koro doesn't have vision of it to smite it.
Smart there, actually. Koro, I think, assumes it's gone.
Yeah.
So really smart play there from MLXG as Whoosh only getting stronger. It's been a while since we checked in with him as Pawn's going to massacre this wave with a red card. But 2 items and a QSS. Vayne's actually kind of ready to go.
Also very important the fact that, again, he has Janna, and Janna also has a Magize. So the big thing about Vayne's itemization is that she's going to obviously itemize into that attack speed, having the Bladed Demon King and Static Shiv, but the Janna shield, especially now that Lei is level 12, so past that level 9 marker where he has 5 points in Eye of the Storm, the shield, is going to augment a free BF sword to Vayne.
And that's good on almost anyone, except for maybe MLXG, and even then, not too shabby. So Lei doing a lot of work for this team on the Janna pick. Nice to see her coming back as well, given how popular the likes of Braum and Nautilus and Alistar have been in recent weeks. But EDG, no slaps on the damage front either. Pawn moving in towards that forward stuff. Blade of the Ruin King done there for Def along with Sork Shoes, and 2 massively tanky people in the top half of the map for Edward Gaming as well.
The question now will be, how do EDG approach these fights? The last fight they had did not go very well. They tried to pull the classic EDG and collapse from multiple angles. Will they now play to more of a pick/poke based style? Or are they going to try another 5v5 for this big 5th Dragon?
I've sort of seen it already, but EDG have to make sure the carries are standing in the right spot, because any one of these people on RNG, with maybe the exception of like Shen and Janna, can actually do a very good job of assassinating the fairly squishy carries.
Oh, he's got Captain Boots. He's ready to go.
Just going in.
He's pulling everyone in. Got the Magize. I believe in Lei. He could 1v1 Death, no problem.
Okay, well, if that ever comes up, I guess I'll let you know. Def, though, trying to take out this turret. It's been a real thorn in EDG's side not having this turret, and they are still not going to get it. And
IWCI has done a great job positioning himself through Fog of War to really punish EDG for approaching this turret, landing these key spears when it's needed.
And Pawn's in the bottom lane as well, can only really get to mid lane from here, so gonna have to be careful. Koro and Let Me, no teleport there for Shen, but Koro has his, and Let Me, of course, has his ultimate. But right now, RNG are just pressuring with their Nidalee and Jace.
Doing a good job rushing it up the mid lane, knowing that EDG are out of position since they did have eyes on Koro.
Well, here we go again. Looking for that triple flank.
I've seen this.
Yeah, RNG gonna back away. They've spotted Koro with a nice little ward. That'll actually prevent the Evelynn from coming in the side.
They got the wave clear back in front of RNG, so enough of a distraction to allow Mako and Def to get into position, and more importantly, to buy time for Pawn to approach this tower and really start using this Lich Bang.
And it's gone now. Koro going to join in as well. Make sure it goes down. Of course, they can both rejoin their team, at least in the mid lane. For Pawn's sake, as Xiaohu comes in to sweep out the minions.
And more importantly, though, that 1 minute 40 timer on the dragon, that will be the 5th dragon for EDG. We talked about kind of the evolution of EDG from their slumping weeks to most recently. It's been all about the dragon control.
And it's so interesting because you look at the gold lead right now, although Def's going to make it a bit better there for EDG. Takes the tower what? We're 3,000 gold up. Can't really tell you how much gold 5 dragons is worth, but it's a tangible amount, to say the least.
You have to think that every single stat in this game does have a gold value attributed to it, so naturally the first dragon itself scaling is going to be worth more and more as time goes on, and it's able to augment multiple items that you have. And then with the 5th dragon, the fact that that gets doubled, that single first dragon buff alone, then doubled, is ridiculous amounts of gold.
Yeah, you can see EDG stocking up nicely, going to go spend some money actually. Their carry's nice and healthy, but RNG sort of feeling the same way here. I feel like they just haven't really had a fight that's been timed well. The actual team fighting's been quite good, but EDG having 4 dragons to 0 this early on in the game, you can tell right now they know they have to contest for number 5, and it's up in 35 seconds.
That's why they're moving into the area, and LPL trying to deny this blue buff from Pawn.
Does do so successfully, so good little adventure there into the blue side. Woosh going to get the Scuttle Crab there as well, so that one will go away. And Pawn still trying to split push. It feels like EDG were wondering what they were going to do, but at least between dragons they are committed to pushing out these side lanes.
No, I actually really like this. Again, it's just giving them more of a surplus, a gold benefit coming into this big 5th dragon fight. They do have a sizable lead, about 4K, closing in on that 5K mark.
Yep, and RNG have been trying to pressure this tier 2 mid lane turret for 10 minutes, it feels like, and Woosh might actually get himself killed there. Runs through the acceleration gate and will live as they run towards the dragon. It's back alive, but Lemmy's done on the bottom side of the map. He does have his ulti and his teleport, but EDG are going to fight for this dragon.
Okay, here we go. Big important ultimates to watch. How is the Destiny going to be used? Will Pawn be the initiator of the fight over the front line?
Or is Def just going to die as Xiaohu gets Stands United on, but the ulti's going to come down. There's the ult coming through for Braum. Def going to flash out from Let Me's taunt. Pawn's going to chase him down. Does not use the Destiny though. 5v4, they can take the dragon.
Xiaohu tries to go for the hero play to find the assassination on Def, but even through the stand, United can't make it connect. That said, Jungler is still alive. MLXG can still steal this.
Yep, got a smite, got a spear. Got a hope here for MLXG. Mako though going to block off the spears. They might just have to brute force this. Woosh is going to chase down Deft off in the side. He will die. Does a massive chunk of damage. 5 dragon goes to EDG though, and Koro's going to swoop into the back lines. Gets exhausted as he goes in, and actually going to break up the fight. They've chased down Let Me, but that's the only other kill EDG will get.
Every single one of those dragon buffs now just doubled up on 4 members. RNG immediately pulled the trigger and advanced in the opposite direction.
Yep, realizing that we cannot fight even with Deft dead here. Woosh did what Xiaohu could not do in the mid lane, but it might not matter here as EDG, their objective control for once has been the sole determinant in how this game plays out. And of all the objectives, it's not the Baron we usually think of, it's the Dragon.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is, you know, what does the Baron pit really offer EDG and why is it so important to them? Well, EDG are so good at flanking and setting up team fights, and it's just a lot more punishing. Typically, teams don't move their vision early enough over into the Baron area. It's a lot darker, and so EDG really just thrive in fighting over there, whereas the Dragon has really caught them off guard, you know, historically in their earlier sets. So just kind of a complete 180 from EDG in terms of where they're moving their monster control.
And we said, you know, how different the EDG looks sort of moving in towards playoffs and their presumed World Championship spot coming up as well. And that Dragon control has actually been a difference for this lineup, even when they've not been playing their main roster.
No, I completely agree, and it goes back to the question, you know, EDG, they look good, they look strong, but do they look different? this is your answer. Yes, their Dragon control, for one, is very different.
And there was a team that had a very similar predicament, actually. Really good around Baron and very good around Dragon.
Oh, which one was that?
I assume you know the answer to this question.
Hold on, though. We're setting up for Baron.
I'll give you a hint. Clear Love was on both of those teams. I think I found the answer to the problem.
Was a Twisted Fate also on it?
Twisted Fate was often on it here as Zivon's going to dive straight in. Clear Love looking for a flank, but just chases them away. Has to be careful now. Fairly tanky, but going to dodge the spear. Let me down in the bottom side. Has his ult, but no teleport. EDG going straight in.
And this is what I was talking about. The fact that it's so easy to abuse vision around the Baron pit, make it dark, and allow EDG to really flank.
Yeah, spear's coming in. One lands in, but Shyvana going to smite it away. And now they'll just maybe dive back in. Koro, absolutely monstrously huge LG dives into the backline on Shyvana. Woosh trying to kite it around, can barely get some shots down now. Actually melting pretty quick. Maku going to try and run them off as well. And Pawn just running and peeling, but EDG got what they wanted.
Oh, hold on, RNG chasing them back.
Might be enough. Pawn is very low. Can't afford to stand near a Ludens. Proc, I don't think. Looking for it. Doesn't quite get it. Pawn barely lives.
That said, double Dragoned up EDG, Baroned up EDG. They're on the defensive, and RNG are pushing forward, trying to get anything they can.
If they break the base here, EDG have a couple more problems to think about.
Hello,
but
Clear Love?
They're forced to back away. Clear Love, I think, forcing them from a potential flank. They'll run away. They won't lose anyone. And EDG hold on to their base.
Get the Baron, lose the structure, however. So good response from RNG to make lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they're strong. You can tell. MLXG's in Italy, massively strong right now with these Ludens now finished up, building in towards a Void Staff. Xiaohu's been doing damage for 15 minutes, and Woosh finally does damage as well with 3 items and only gets stronger. Even Letme's getting tankier, and look, Lei's going to get some Agias techs if they keep fighting. But EDG have done such a good job of running them around this map that actually fighting's been the tough part for RNG.
No, I completely agree. I was actually just kind of thinking about Pawn's pick of Twisted Fate into the Vayne.
Yep.
And
pretty good.
Yeah, the fact that Pawn, early, of course, he used his Destiny as a pick potential with global presence, or excuse me, semi-global presence. But the last, 3 team fights, he's actually used it in the middle of the team fight to counteract the final hour from Vayne.
Yeah, and it's just, we've seen it against Evelyn, we've seen it against Vayne. One of the best uses of Twisted Fate's ulti. It's actually really smart drafting as well, because they last pick Evelyn, making sure that, you know what, want to make sure you guys don't get Twisted Fate before we pick this.
And of course, that happened to EDG in the potential set where they got counter-picked by Punish's Twisted Fate.
As Deft on a bit of a hero mission, does not deny the back from Woosh. Trying to pressure down mid lane. EDG, despite their Dragon control and Baron control, have been wanting for turrets with Corki in particular, is usually not a problem for them. With
Twisted Fate and Tandem as well. But again, it's just been their priority of the team fight and the objective control versus the structures. So, coming forward, can EDG smooth this out and manage to balance both?
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out soon as EDG applying some pressure to these towers, but Jana making that a pretty difficult task. Pawn going to walk up and take out the minion wave, but not over-committing to doing damage to the tower, despite the fact that he does dumb amounts of damage with pick a card to those structures right now. EDG playing very safe.
That's actually a measure.
Yes.
Dumb.
It is a specific measure.
It's right behind buttload.
Yeah. Yes. And I think slightly behind, was it ridiculous? Kind of the next level?
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Top level is beautiful. As they will get the tower here in the mid lane. Tier 2 will fall 6-4 now in turrets. Even in kills, RNG have been fighting back, but EDG been getting further and further ahead. 7,500 gold ahead now with Dragon number 6. And the second Dragon 5 up in 40 seconds.
And it never is typically a good thing when you're like, you need 6 dragons to end the game. But just to reiterate, EDG got such early Dragon control that we're still only 37 approaching 40 minutes. So it's not that punishing. It just, again, speaks to EDG. They've been in full jungle control of this game.
Again, it's just been fairly conservative play for them, which is, I'm going to say, somewhat uncharacteristic.
It really started to crop up in their Invictus Gaming series, specifically Game 2, for how far ahead EDG were initially, how much respect they gave IG on the back half of closing it out. And again, I feel like it actually is a very clear, practiced and measured thing.
Yep, and see, dumb damage there as the inhibitor now under threat. RNG might try and trade their base for Dragon 1. They get it, but I don't know if this is the trade they want to make. EDG Gonna try and cancel some backs, and Pawn, he is ravaging the base. If they can actually tie them up, he might finish the game.
Exactly. At this point, EDG just needs to chase RNG all the way home. They will lose one Nexus turret.
Pawn pops his ulti, says, see you later. Might go for a fight, actually, no. Goes back to his friends.
See you, nerds.
And RNG, they do get a dragon. Well done. They've managed to get that on the board. Unfortunately, they lost a lot of their base as a result.
And of course, EDG were entirely fine making that trade of first dragon. Even at 40 minutes, that will be a massive power spike. Should be noted for RNG because they're getting the first dragon stat on pretty much 3 completed items across every single member of that team. That said, lost a Nexus turret and an inhibitor.
Yep. And all of a sudden, that second Baron's going to be even harder for you to contest. Not that it wasn't tricky already as Pawn. He is doing really dirty things to Mending Waves this game. They are melting.
He's got the Death Cap, Hourglass, Lichbane, and Void staff completed, as well as the Distortion upgrade on the CDR boots. He's pretty disgusting.
Yep, as Woosh actually linking him Koro nicely, make a good block on the NATO there with Unbreakable. MXG still doing damage, goes straight in. Little too much, bounces on your Xiaohu. Now the next one in is a leapfrog into the fight. Stand United use there as Koro dodges a spear, but the Che goes on to Xiaohu. Pawn is still pushing. Doesn't have his ulti just yet. Can't quite get into the fight. But Pawn, he's just going to keep doing this by the looks of things.
And again, EDG, they understood. They communicated clearly what were they getting out of that. They wanted the inhibitor tower. The fact that Koro had the dragon available and didn't pull the trigger on that. That Clearlove was looking for a sideline flank. So
where's Pawn go? Oh, popped a recall. That wasn't Gate.
He popped it initially to check where RNG were.
I mean, might as well at this point. On a fairly low cooldown with CDR boots. Oh my god. That is so annoying. Rylai's Crystal Scepter is his last item.
I love the new Rylai's on 5.13,
oh, yeah.
especially because of the changes to the slow stacking and how it offers the 40%.
Oh yeah. Those cards going to be doing, not the wild cards, but the picker cards.
You're never going to get away from him.
No. And it was pretty hard already, honestly. The deadliest boy cards.
Likewise, the added health will obviously make him much more tanky. And again, Pawn is either being used as a split push machine or the initiator.
Yeah, I almost feel bad for Koro, to be honest, because he's Shyvana, been fine. 290 CS, got a Blade of the Ruin King, actually, just to be an additional backline threat when he does dive in onto the likes of Xiaohu and Woosh, but he's just not been needed in this game, to be honest. They've barely had 5v5 teamfights. Pawn is just running around the rift, having a merry old time. Look at him. He's a happy man. Well-dressed.
He sparkles.
Comes that visual bug, making sure he sparkles as he runs between the lanes. Baron up in 3 seconds. And EDG are looking for a pick.
I think they're ready.
Yes.
Here we go.
Oh, Blay gets tagged by the Q. Gonna get stunned up. Goodbye. A Xiaohu trying to run away.
Remember you.
Well, EDG instead will go in for Baron.
And
Pawn is still pushing along with Koro. EDG do not need their full team for this buff.
And of course, it's super threatening now because we do have that inhibitor taken down on the bottom side. So we made the statement that it just makes this second Baron that much easier because you're playing with multiple pressure points across map, the Baron and the bottom wave.
And that's 2 for 2 on Barons there for EDG. Have had almost flawless major buff control here in this game here. But they are 12,000 gold ahead or so of RNG, who again, still have items, can still fight. But EDG have been not interested in any sort of 5v5.
Super controlled. It goes back to, we saw this in the Invictus gaming set from EDG. It looks like they're actually practicing how to close out in a very methodical and clean way.
This is very clean here, very clinical as they take out the top inhibitor there as well. MLXG getting a little rowdy, trying to make something happen. But Pawn going to keep running them around this rift, and there is only one inhibitor left for EDG to try and take away. And it's there in the mid lane, looking real lonely for RNG.
That is one blue card away from exploding, in all honesty. I just want to see him just blue card it by himself just to see how much damage it'll do.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
A buttload.
A buttload. It's actually all going to fight now. Xiaohu going to get jumped on as Def gets himself a double. TF is dead, but that's a 3-for-1 trade there for EDG as we pop back in, and they're going to end this game.
Complete control. We talked about how RNG, if they wanted to try to make a playoff run, it needed to start now. Unfortunately, this is not the start that you were looking for.
It doesn't start with this game, but still have another one. Def dives into the Nexus. Of course, he always does this. But they will take the Nexus away and the victory. Def. He does that every game they win. I'm not even kidding. He's like, okay, we're winning, done. Into the Nexus, into the fountain, straight into the laser.
KDA, I don't care.
Literally the worst fantasy player to draft ever. Not even close, but he would be excellent. But